Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Moskalensky show. Sorry you're about to hear. We had a bit of technical glitches at the beginning, so there's just going to be just a minute here of a little bit of technical. Yeah, listen to that. Sorry about that, everybody. We're going to have to wait just a minute here, but we are going to jump into the topics relatively quickly. First of which is going to be iDubbbz versus Rice Scum. Now, I'm sure you've heard. I'm sure you know of iDubbbz. For those of you who don't know, iDubbbz is a YouTuber, shockingly enough. iDubbbz is a YouTuber who he makes a variety of content. I actually have some good counter arguments against him. Like, I'm literally the only person I've ever seen who's had good, valid arguments against iDubbbz. And I know how that sounds, but trust me, I actually have some very good arguments. But we're not getting into that today. iDubbbz is most known for his series known as The Content Cop. The Content Cop is he basically exposes others on YouTube for lack of creative content or just doing all kinds of generally scummy stuff in general. And the first thing I wanted to get into was the fact that he came out with a video called Content Cop Jake Paul. And it shows like Jake Paul in the thumbnail and everything. Everyone was ready for that Jake Paul exposed video pretty much, and we all knew that this would be the end of Jake Paul's career. There was some debate as to whether or not, like, why Jake Paul, while Jake Paul is losing relevancy, while Logan Paul is gaining subscribers. That's a relatively big thing. I'm going to get into that later. This is going to make some more sense if we have any time. This is not a big thing. Maybe I'll address it in the free-for-all. Maybe I won't address it all. It's not a big thing. But if we have any spare time, I will be addressing that. But everyone was so ready for that Jake Paul Content Cop. Now, here's the thing. If you hear anyone talking about the Jake Paul Content Cop, they're a liar. No Jake Paul Content Cop has been made. The first couple of minutes of the video kind of like, you know, the classic Content Cop intro and so on. And frankly, I think iDubbbz's Content Cops are on the whole very good, while I was talking about like Leafy and everything. And that's actually where I made some of my very few counterpoints against iDubbbz. Very few, by the way. But I honestly think that the Content Cops are in general very well made, very well thought out, very well, just everything in general I think about them is very good. But the Content Cops, and like the last one he came out with was like early in the year, like end of February of this year. Like it's been so long. So everyone was ready for this. Everyone was ready. The first couple of minutes, everything was set up for, you know, iDubbbz versus Jake Paul. And in the last second, he changes his mind and goes to Rice Scum. Now, people are excited about every Content Cop. People were excited about the Tanamongu content. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Tanamongo or whatever her name is. People were excited about her Content Cop. People were excited about Leafy's Content Cop. People were excited about How to Crank It Up's Content Cop. Relatively. Not as much as the first two, but... Oh, and of course, Keemstar. I don't know how I forgot that. People were very excited for Keemstar's Content Cop. People were like freaking out like crazy when it was revealed that the real focus of the half-an-hour-long video, which I believe is his longest Content Cop ever, was actually about Rice Scum. He was by far the single most suggested person of all time to do a Content Cop on, at least as far as I know. Don't quote me on that, but I've seen more demand, I think, for the Rice Scum Content Cop than literally everything combined. People with tons of subscribers, sorry about that. People with tons of subscribers have just been like massive channels, like channels with just millions and millions of subscribers, just absolutely freak out. Or not freak out, but they just like desire the iDubbbz Content Cop. Anyways, we have our first caller here. Hello, caller. What's your name?
Andrew.
Andrew, very nice to have you on the show. Again, this to those of you who don't know Andrew, this is at least his second time calling. Sorry, I can't remember the exact number, but I do remember callers. So Andrew, very nice to have you back on the show. Sorry if you hear any spam callers. Our spam system doesn't pick up everybody, but like it picked up our last guy and just and got rid of them like just right now. So just if you hear a spam caller, just don't mention it. I got it. I'm monitoring it and I'm kicking them off immediately. Hopefully the site will not be overrun with spam callers and they will be kicked off relatively soon. Now, Andrew, do you know about the iDubbbz Content Cop?
Yes.
Sorry, was that a no or a yes?
Hang on, bad people.
Was that a no or a yes?
No.
No. All right. So let me just give you a quick refresher. There's this YouTuber, iDubbbz. He has millions of subscribers, just packed with subscribers. And he, excuse me. Hello. Are you still there, Andrew?
Sorry about that.
Sorry. What'd you say?
Sorry, I was on the phone with my sister.
Oh, okay. No, of course.
I was talking to her face to face.
The
thing on the phone.
But anyways, he's a very popular YouTuber. iDubbbz makes these content cops. And he basically exposes people. He exposes content creators who are not very creative, that make generally bad content. And he basically exposes them for everything bad that they do. Like he's made one content cop on Keemstar, Killer Keemstar, the host of Drama Alert. He's made two actually on Leafy is here, who was literally stopped the growth of the largest growing channel of 2016. Bigger than PewDiePie, bigger than Markiplier and Jacksepticeye, bigger than all of them. He stopped it dead in their tracks. Sorry about that, everyone. That's not technical glitches on our end. Just the spam caller system takes a moment to kick the callers off, so we're going to be working on that. If this goes on for much longer, we'll have to turn it off. So Andrew, if I hang up on you, it's not because of you. It's the fact that I want to get these annoying spam callers off. So just so you know, we very much appreciate your call. So anyways, he's basically been making them on everybody. And the biggest name in YouTube right now pretty much is Jake Paul and Logan. Well, the two biggest names are Logan Paul and Jake Paul.
I hate them.
I think hate's a bit too strong of a word, but in my view, they're just complete. I mean, it's like Hollywood celebrities. They have no idea what they're doing, and they think that just because people like them and watch their content, that they think that there's something special. I mean, like every little thing everywhere with Jake Paul and Logan Paul is suddenly the most important thing of all time. And that's just, I mean, if these are like little tiny YouTubers that have been around for whatever, a couple years, you know, that are just slowly growing, and like unless you specifically look them up, they never bother you, I wouldn't have any problems with Jake Paul and Logan Paul. But the fact is, every little thing about them, it's like a Hollywood celebrity in a marriage. I mean, every little thing about them needs to be blown up out of proportion. And it's not like they're against this. It's not like they make their life public, but they're like, it's not a big deal. No, they actively encourage this stuff. That's my main beef with Jake Paul and Logan Paul. But anyways, iDubbbz is known for exposing these kind of people. And frequently he exposes them. Case in point, Jake and Logan Paul. But the thing is that he made like the longest content cop of all time. And 30 minutes long, 31 actually, I believe it's barely under 31 minutes long. And the first couple of minutes of the video are like getting into are getting into Jake Paul and Logan Paul. Just everything's getting ready. And then he completely goes off the wire and starts talking about Rice Gum. Now, Andrew, do you know who Rice Gum is?
No.
Okay, so here's the thing about Rice Gum. He often does collaboration videos. He likes to do quote-unquote comedic videos with many diss tracks and, you know, stuff like that, but typically like comedic stuff. But the thing that just makes me that just really infuriates me about Rice Gum is it's just what he'll do. It's kind of like the whole Leafy thing. I don't think he's as bad as Leafy. Now, in the early days of Leafy's rise to power, he would do anything to get popularity. He would betray any friend. He would leak any private information. He would make... Yeah?
Ben, I got to eat at your show and no one watches.
Sorry, what'd you say, Andrew?
Hold on, that person. Hold on a second. One second.
Okay.
Okay, that person was very rude.
Absolutely, but don't pay attention. You're only fueling them. I'd kick them off just immediately, and it's fine.
Please do. He's like, nobody watches your show. He needs to shut up. I was about to say something.
All you're doing is fueling them. These people, they're gonna see eventually that it's useless.
I gotta eat dinner now. I will call you back later, okay?
Sounds great. Thank you very much for your call, Andrew. Hope to get more calls from you soon. Bye. So that thank you very much, Andrew, again for calling in. Now I can completely devote my time to talking and kicking off you spam callers, because you are not getting through my armored wall. Because clearly so far it's not working in any uncertain terms. You're there for like half a nanosecond, not enough to do any real harm, and then I kick you off. So if you're listening to this, I mean, you're not making me mad. So keep trying if you want to, but it's not working. So anyways, so he makes this diss track. Or sorry, I don't know why I'm going to diss tracks. iDubbbz makes this video exposing, just totally exposing Rice Gum. Like after those first couple of minutes, everyone thought it was going to be about Jake Paul. And then he just totally exposes Rice Gum. And this was by far the most popular content cop so far. I think it's going to get more views than any other content cop. Because it's such a big deal. Because Rice Gum, it's kind of like the early days of Leafy, except nowhere near as sinister. I mean, he would literally do anything to get on top. Anyways, sadly, we're gonna have to close down our calling system just for a little bit, until all the spam callers clear off and realize that, oh shoot, it's not working. All you're doing is feeding me views. So if you want to keep feeding me views, you're not annoying me. All you're doing is, you're trying not to help, but all you're actually doing is helping me. You're getting me on more people's recommended page, and you have like half a nanosecond of interference, and that's really all you get. I mean, if that's good for you, great. Keep doing that, because it's fine for me. But anyways, sadly, we will not be getting back on the line just for a little bit, though. We shouldn't be off the line for too long. Once things kind of clear out, I still have the system saying, you know, when the spam callers are there. So I'm just going to wait until they clear out. They can keep calling all day long. They can't get into the actual physical private hangout in which I do the recording, nor can they get into the recording session itself. They can only get into the call. So I'll come back at an unspecified time, and you will know when, but again, it's going to be an unspecified time, and I will not be telling until that time comes, as to avoid people leaving, or the spam callers leaving, then coming back. So where was I? Oh, but anyways, the thing is about Rice Gum, he will do anything to do, well, not quite anything, but he's not quite as bad as Leafy was, who would literally do anything, destroy friendships, people's lives. He would do anything and anything to get onto the trending page. He's not as bad as Leafy in Leafy's early days, but in my view, he still needed to be stopped, and I thank iDubbbz for stopping him. And honestly, it's such a big thing. It amazes me, because like iDubbbz, it's the equivalent. He's called a content cop, and honestly, there's a reason for that. iDubbbz stopped 2016's fastest growing YouTube channel, YouTube's Prime, and literally the biggest. So YouTube, massive YouTube growing at its prime, and the biggest grower at its prime, and he took him down. That's how powerful iDubbbz is. Now, in all fairness, Rice Gum, he's kind of been asking for it. He kind of goes back and forth between asking for it, not asking for it. In my view, iDubbbz made some good points in that video. Again, I have my own separate beefs with iDubbbz, but I do honestly think he made some genuinely good points against Rice Gum in that video. We don't have time to get into all that, nor do we have the Jake Paul, or why Jake Paul over Logan Paul. But frankly, as we wrap up this section, I just want to give you all like a little bit of a heads up on the old YouTube drama. Typically, these YouTube drama sections do well, as you can tell by the fact of, well, viewer numbers. That'll pretty much conclude this section. We're going to be moving into our next section pretty soon, but I just kind of wanted to work as your, what's the term? Your informant. There we go. Your informant. I like that word, informant. Anyways, people seem to typically like these. I don't think I'm going to be doing another one of those talk sections. You guys kind of somewhat liked it last time, but not really. So maybe I'll do one in a while from now, but no time soon. Although people definitely like my movie and video game sections. So we're going to be getting into that with Ben's top 10 movies of 2015. Before we get into this, and trust me, we're going to have time since I'm going to span this into the free-for-all section, I actually saw a very good movie on Netflix yesterday. I highly recommend you watch a movie called The Founder. It's about, well, basically the guy who founded McDonald's, but not exactly. You have to see it for yourself. I know it sounds horribly boring, like one of those like boring documentaries about how businesses get started. It's really not. It's actually, it's very exciting. Well, not exciting, but I found it very interesting. There was some interesting moral questions, and I just found it to be a very interesting movie. So if you're looking for a nice movie, not all about modern Hollywood shooty stuff, I'd highly recommend The Founder for you. Again, movie on Netflix, relatively recent. Has Michael Keaton in it, very good actor in my view. But anyways, as you know, or if you didn't, let me inform you. I come out with my best movies list of certain years, top 10 either best or worst video games and movies of a certain year at the end of every month. In this case, so on September 30th, I did Ben's top 10 movies of 2015, and now I'm going to kind of be reading it off and giving it my own opinions in addition. Number 10, Furious 7. Now, Furious 7 gets a spot on this list for two reasons. One of which was because it was a good movie. It had amazing action scenes and really kept the train chugging well. It seems like it gets better with every movie. I mean, look at this wallpaper. You guys can't see it from here, but if you'd like, you can go to the post. If I don't have time to finish, or if I miss a part, or if I skip something, or if you want to read it for yourself, leave a comment since caller lines are now closed. Just head over to the old Google Plus, leave your comments. That alone tells you what you need to know about this movie. And the wallpapers, if you haven't seen it, basically shows, I believe that is Vin Diesel running, like trying to get onto a cliff, running off of a falling train. Yeah, kind of tells you all you need to know about that movie. But what it lacks in substance, plus, the PC stuff, which I never like, it makes up for in action. This movie was actually able to kick off Mad Max Fury Road for another reason. In pure quality, Mad Max Fury Road definitely overtakes this one. But instead of glossing over a dead actor like so many movies do, this movie was attributed to Paul Walker. There was even a scene in the end dedicated to their longtime friend, Paul Walker, a touching one at that. Even though these movies are pretty bland when it comes to the characters, this one gets a pass since it did leave you feeling sorry by the end of it. I just kind of want to, kind of pay my respects, if you will, in a certain way. And my list, my choice. I mean, I got a bit of beef for that one, but my list, my choice. Number 9, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Beginning to end, this movie rocked. I mean, how can you not like this movie? True, it's the worst of the 5 spy movies on this list, but it's still amazing. And yes, that is true. I put 5 spy movies on this list. 5. I don't know. 2015, I guess, was a great year of spy movies. I mean, every scene of this movie was packed with something clever or witty, be it verbally or physically. Everyone knows the plane scene from the very beginning of the movie, but there are so many scenes people don't talk about, from the shop scene to the underwater scene to the vault scene to the nuke scene to the end scene and everything in between. Everything is so well done. I gotta give this movie props. It doesn't dive into some deep philosophical crap about how violence is bad or whatever. It's an overall fun movie, and you do actually form character attachments, be it not the strongest ones. And that's not always a bad thing if it gets kind of philosophical in a movie. But like Mission Impossible is not meant for that. Mission Impossible is like an American James Bond agency kind of thing. I mean, you get the same feeling. That's actually one of the reasons I did not like Skyfall at all, because it just went too deep into too much stuff, and I was like, yada, yada, yada. Where's the James Bond? But Mission Impossible Rogue Nation did not make that mistake. All I know is when Mission Impossible 6 comes out in 2018, I'll be ready to see it, since you cannot trust Rotten Tomatoes, as seen with American Assassin and Zootopia. Quick bit of context before we move on. American Assassin, movie that came out this year, fantastic movie. I love that movie. If you're looking for a good movie, and you're okay with rated R movies and your parents are, check out American Assassin. Very nice movie. Highly recommend it. Now let's see. We're gonna be moving on to. Oh wait, no, sorry. And Zootopia. I actually talked about this on my last list. If you're one of those people who like watches every one of these shows, you'll understand what my beef with Zootopia. But if this is like your first show, or you haven't watched many of my shows before, you're not going to get this. Zootopia, I couldn't stand Zootopia, but it got 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was even higher on opening day. Number 8, Creed. Now, I'm a millennial, so it is logical to assume that I am relatively dumb. This is true. So a non-millennial would probably watch the Rockies first, then watch Creed. I decided, nah, let's George Lucas this thing. I saw Creed, then Rocky 1, then Rocky 4, then Rocky 2, and I still haven't seen Rocky 3, 5, and 6. But here's the thing. Even though Creed is the 7th movie in the series, I didn't need to see the other 6 to love it. Not only, oh, sorry, I must have said it wrong. Oh, no, I didn't say it wrong. Not only is it politically correct in the sense that it is actually correct politically, not PC, but at the end of the movie, you love the characters. You're rooting for Rocky to be okay. You're rooting for Adonis to win in every fight. You're rooting for things to be okay. It's like watching Inside Out, where you kind of exist through the movie and then say, wait, it's not like, okay, sorry. It's not like watching Inside Out, where you kind of exist through the movie and then say, finally, it's over when the credits roll. This movie captures you from start to finish, and due to an iconic soundtrack, fascinating, fantastic acting, and very well done camera work, when the 8th movie in the series comes out, I'll be ready. Number 7, The Martian. Many people put this movie higher on the list, but not me. Nah. That's because I read the book before it was cool. I mean, the acting choices were a bit weird. I couldn't see Matt Damon as Mark. Be it Kate Mara was well placed, but still, all the acting in this movie was really good, even with choices I didn't agree with, like Kristen Wiig. The thing is, if they would have entirely stuck with the book, this movie would be top 5, not top 3, but top 5 roughly. Although they did PC it up a bit, and they removed my favorite part when Mark got triggered, and they toned the science down, which was a huge thing in the book. Plus, they got rid of that amazing beginning monologue. And if you read the book yourself, you would understand my problem with this movie. You'd have to read the book yourself, and warning, there is definitely a fair, and by fair I mean a ton of language. In fact, that's a big problem with many movies. I don't know why I said movies based off books. Don't stray from the book. Don't clone it down to every detail, but don't stray so far from it. That's one reason why people hated Percy Jackson 2 so much, because it was practically from a different series, and it was worse. You've got a story, stick with it. Number 6, Spectre. The last James Bond movie, 2012 Skyfall, was an overall disaster. Not everything, but most things about it were pretty bad, with the exception of amazing opening credits. I freaking love those. So when they brought Daniel Craig back to play Bond again, I was terrified, but I wasn't going to skip it. It's James Bond. So want to know what I told myself at the end of this past masterpiece? This was a flippin' masterpiece. This movie truly is modern James Bond. It didn't go all deep and sad like Skyfall. It was a romantic movie, which is what James Bond is supposed to be. Be it the story was fundamentally flawed, it was still interesting, in and out, with amazing plot twists and shocking reveals. Spectre will not go down in history as the best Bond of all time, but it'll definitely be on the higher end of the spectrum, and rightfully so. I'll be ready for Bond 25 when it's out. And before we get into my top 5 of 2016, I just like to mention it's kind of funny how I don't just say Bond 25 because it's the 25th Bond movie. They're actually calling it Bond 25. Kind of cool. Anyways, number 5, Spotlight. Many of the movies on this list have been very flashy. They've been very modern, in a good way, but they're all relatively upbeat. Be it there are sad moments, they're overall exciting or happy movies. This movie is the only sad movie, and that's because of how real it was. Sorry, I'm talking about Spotlight, just to remind you all. It's based off a Pulitzer Prize-winning case where it was revealed that a ton of priests were doing illegal activities. I don't want to get too much into this one because this one's a bit too sad, but yeah, you can read this for yourself. Just Spotlight, if you're okay with darker stuff and you want to learn about like a true case, Spotlight is extremely interesting. Highly recommend Spotlight. Number 4, Spy. Now, Spotlight got onto this list because of its plot and what it was about. But for personal enjoyment, these next 4 options are far superior. With the third best spy movie of the year, funny enough, Spy. And yeah, we're in top 4, and I still have 2 more spy movies, not even counting the one I'm doing right now. I tell you, I really like spy movies this year. I had heard a lot about this movie and was ready to see it. When I saw it was rated R, I didn't want to go to the theaters and see it. My dad did a bit of digging, and we found out it would be okay for me to watch. So we rented it when it came out, and I adored it. I looked past all the bad attributes of this movie and focused on the comedy, which was outstanding. This isn't Spectre. It's not a serious spy movie, nor does it take itself seriously. It's a comedy, and it's hilarious. I mean, having an all-star cast does help. Melissa McCarthy, Jason Statham, and 50 Cent were all in this movie. I included 50 Cent just because he's a known name. I mean, He's better than some of the other rappers we have nowadays, but like, I'm not like a big fan of 50 Cent. He's a very well-known name, so that's why I put him on this list. If you want something that has a kind of darker comedy aspect to it, but still has some funny action, I cannot recommend Spy enough. Now we're going into number 3, Bridge of Spies. I remember when I saw the beginning of this movie, like the first 5 minutes in, I thought to myself, this sucks. 2 hours and 17 minutes later, I considered bashing my head against the wall forever thinking so stupidly. This was before all the lies with Russia and the election sprung up. So this movie isn't SJW propaganda. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm very tired and I did not bring up water. So, yeah, that was very smart on my end. It's a spy movie about the Cold War, and it illustrates the struggles and problems on both sides really well, while talking about other countries and the effects. It's a great historical movie while providing fascinating story. Of course, when you have Tom Hanks as your main character, it's hard to go wrong, considering 1994's Forrest Gump is something that starred Tom Hanks. That movie may very well be in my top 10 best movies of all time. Maybe even top 5, possibly even top 3. I'm referring to Forrest Gump, not Bridge of Spies. So when you've got Tom Hanks, that's all you need. But this movie went one step further. Number 2, Jurassic World. I don't know why for some reason I always make my number 2s in the movie ones really short. I don't know why. And no, that wasn't a pun considering my number 2 choice for worst movies of 2016. We're done talking about this. Anyways, man, if you want to go check out my top 10 worst movies of 2016, you can go do that as well. If you have any questions, want links, etc., ask and it's yours. Number 2, Jurassic World. I know this will seem like a very weird choice, especially for number 2, but I frankly just love this movie. I thought the jokes were hilarious. The acting was pretty good on some fronts, amazing on others, and it was overall a thrill. Colin Trevorrow, don't know how to say his name, knows how to direct. The suspense in this movie makes you think you're watching Jaws. It's unreal. Everything in the movie just seems so well done, clean, and polished that I really don't know what to say. This movie has no major flaws. So I guess this is a good gateway for my favorite movie of 2015. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, my favorite movie of 2015. But before we get into that, I know it's going to be a bit confusing. Like, what am I going to talk about during the free-for-all section? I'm going to talk about just some stuff with the show in general and with my books. And I will probably, not definitely, probably start on my video game one. We'll see about that, though. But right now, number 1, Kingsman, The Secret Service. There's actually a funny story behind it. Oh, this is why this one's so long. There's actually a funny story behind this. Not my choice, but how I got around to seeing it. My sister wanted to see Home. My mom was fine with this. Dad wanted to go see Kingsman, but I was too afraid of a rated R movie to go see it. I was young and stupid. I didn't know that specific movie wouldn't be as bad as some other things I saw, and I lived through it just fine. So Dad went to go see Kingsman, and the rest of us went to see Home. That little thing I mentioned about me being young and stupid and seeing it later, I didn't. That might sound a bit confusing. What I mean is when I saw it after the fact, I was fine. Like when I saw it for the first time. Because right now, when I should have gone and seen it, I went to go see Home. So Dad went to go see Kingsman, and the rest of us went to see Home. Not only was Home one of the worst animated films I had ever seen, at the time and possibly now, but when I came out, as soon as I went into the sunlight, I got a headache. I've never cried from a headache before, and I've gone through awful pain where I didn't cry, but I cried after that headache. Turns out I had the flu. Turned out I had the flu. I was fine under a week later, but that was terrible. Then Dad rented Kingsman since he loved it so much, and that day was already going spectacular. This is a couple months or a month later, I believe, roughly. It's not like we did this immediately after. The day was already going great. I had just gotten some stellar grades on some really big assignments. I took down some haters online. Turned out my relatives were coming over for a surprise visit, and I didn't have to do any work. Everything was great. What I mean by that, by work, is like, don't have to help set up the table and everything, because everything, like, it was supposed to be a surprise, and like they were getting it ready for me. Then that day became excellent once I saw Kingsman, The Secret Service. I mean, what's there not to say? It's a flashy shoot-'em-up with a ton of references to British pop culture. But it's not shallow. It has many moral questions and asks the right kind without ruining the movie. The violence is absolutely amazing and totally unique. Not to mention the acting is just superb. Everything about Kingsman, the Secret Service, is better than any trailers. And when your trailers rock, your movie is even better. And your movie is even better if you know you're doing something right. I actually don't think we'll be coming back to the calls for the rest of this episode. My system can't work for too long. I know it's a weird sounding system, but again, I can't go into too many details unless like the spam callers start figuring it out. Because like today we were able to block every single spam caller. We got 20 or 19 or 18. I want to say 18, no, 19 spam calls. We got 19 spam calls. Every single one was blocked after like a second. I mean, that's awesome. Every single one of those 19 spam calls was blocked. I mean, that really shows you how efficiently that system's working. Last time it was 6 out of 7. So real quick, I'm going to do a bit of math. 19, so that's 25 out of 26 spam calls have been blocked. The 96% so far of all spam callers have been blocked. I mean, that's a rate I think we can take. But anyways, for this free-for-all, I want to talk about several things. The first of which I just went through. And if we have time, I guess we'll just start on video games early, and maybe we'll just end this early since, again, lately I've been doing a couple ladies. Maybe I'll just end it early if, time. Since I know I've been doing some extensions, and I probably should tone it down. But it's just really, really interesting how this system I got works. I like it. I like it. Anyways, next thing I want to talk about was the Journal of Survivor 2 charity event. I'm doing a lot of promotion for it, so if you wouldn't mind, it would be much appreciated if you could either participate in it by donating via money or art, or just resharing the post and letting your friends and family know across various social media like Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, heck, Reddit for all I care, wherever you want. Just not Tumblr. No, it's fine. If you're not doing some weird stuff, Tumblr's fine. Anything's fine, pretty much. So that's that. I don't want to go through all the updates because like I just got another Q&A thingy that I put in. And obviously I'm always going to be waiting for more Q&As so I can answer them, and I'll be implementing them in my next charity event, which is going to be a long time from now. After this charity event's over, which should be roughly a month or a month and a half from now, and by the way, that's probably going to be part of the next segment, me talking about the charity event in more detail. But it's really interesting how it's going so far. Still, we only have one donor so far, but heck, I mean, for Hero of the First Islands, the Hawker's Memoir, it's already going better than those. So I have faith. I got a lot of time. I started this like what, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, like right around 2 weeks ago. It's only like a quarter of it's gone. I'm not too afraid. Typically we get donations in like the mid to end areas anyway. So like I'm not afraid. I'm actually feeling pretty good about this. So far our record is 9 donors for the very first charity event I ever had, actually, for way back when. It's the very first Journal of the Survivor charity event. I had 2 charity events. That's how big that book was. And yeah, I'm going to be doing that for Journal of Survivor 3 as well. But yeah, I just found that to be very, very interesting how that kind of turned out. And from there, it just kind of went downhill. I mean, I've had 4 completed charity events so far. This is my 5th. First one, 9 donors. Second one, 6 donors. So that's 15 donors for Journal of the Survivor, if you're not counting this charity event, which I'm not yet because it's not over. Hawker's Memoirs got a grand whopping total of 2 donors, and Hero of the First Islands got 3. So literally, even the if you combine Hero of the First Islands and Hawker's Memoirs, it still comes up less than the less popular of the 2 charity events. And again, those like 5 people came near the end, mid to end. So I'm pretty happy though. I'm definitely pretty happy with how things are going. I mean, we literally got 1 donor within 15 minutes of the charity event being announced. I'm not sure if he ever donated before. Maybe so, maybe not. But he's definitely not a regular. Like Andrew, who called in the show. Just trying to think. I knew there was more to talk about. Sorry, I kind of like keep glitching out with my brain. It's been a pretty long day so far. You know what I mean? Long day. That's an interesting term for it. Yeah. Still have to do my science homework today, so yee. I don't know how boring this must be listening to me talk about my science homework, but hey, This is my free-for-all section. Whoa. That was cringe. Oh, now I remember the other thing I want to talk about. For some reason, my throat hurts now, but now I remember the other thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I need to bring up water in the future. This is really dumb. But I think I can make. I made it 35 minutes. I'll make it another 25. All right. Journal Survivor 2. Back to Journal Survivor 2. Wow, that was like one word. Journal Survivor 2. The Journal of the Survivor 2. Right now, we're kind of like in the climax stages of the Journal of Survivor 2. Oh my goodness. The Journal of the Survivor 2. We're in like the climax stages right now. So like if you've been reading any of the Journal of the Survivor, you know that there's so much buildup around John Crone and Oliver Crone, what's going to happen and all that. The whole plot line with John Crone is about to be completely resolved in these next couple of entries. Already part of it is resolved, and the rest of it's going to be resolved in the next 2 or 3 entries. So a week from now, we know what will happen with John Crone. Although the ops, nothing else is going to be concluded, though. The rest of Oliver's family, the ops I don't know what I'm saying timeline. The ops plot line, the Oliver's family timeline, Hannah's family plot line, the whole thing with the war, like that's like at least two other plot lines in it by itself. Lust lynchers, none of that is going to be resolved yet. I know, I planned big time, but then again, I think this is going to be at least a bi-trilogy. A bi-trilogy meaning 6 books. So like I gave myself tons of time. And I already have like this book, the next book, and book 5 planned out. Well, not all of book 5, but a good portion of Joss 5. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. My guess is like by the time I've started Journal of the Survivor 3, which again is going to be the longest of the 3 in a row Journal of the Survivor books I'm now working on. And again, I'm only working on the first of the 3 right now. I'm probably going to be sick of it by the time I'm done. But you know, I could be wrong. Could be wrong. Maybe I'm going to be sad to see it go. I'm definitely going to get a relatively nice long break with book 9, which I'm almost positive is going to be the Cold War Black Ops book, unless things like suddenly and violently change. But you know, I could be wrong. I actually have a poll up right now for the final episode of a live stream thingy I'm doing called Contest Clash, where people pick characters and I go on to 4 glory tourneys with them, and people cannot make up their mind about the character. I think like right now the leading character is Rosalina, I think, which is weird because every time I put Rosalina on the poll, she'd get least votes or like second to least. But right now Rosalina's winning, I think. Could be Robin, but everyone but Wii Fit Trainer. Actually, no, even Wii Fit Trainer thing is doing pretty good. Everyone is just doing. It's actually nuts. But anyways, I think that's it. I don't have anything like pending on my mind, so I think we're gonna start on this a bit early. If we finish early, not the end of the world. I'm just gonna like kind of wrap up the show early since you guys always get those couple extra minutes. This is gonna be like a grand compensator, assuming we end early, and I believe this one's gonna be a bit longer, possibly. Yeah, I'd say this one's gonna be longer, but not by too much. Anyways, without further ado, Ben's top 10 best video games of 2015. Yeah, 2015. Number 10, Yoshi's Woolly World. Yoshi's Woolly World is a violently underrated game, and I feel like Nintendo won't be making a sequel or any other game like this for a while. Yoshi's Woolly World is meant to be a kid's game, and it does a good job. It's not as easy as Kirby's Epic Yarn, which you could win blindfolded while drunk, but it's not meant for the hardcore gamer, and that's honestly a good thing. Games like Bioshock 2, Overwatch, Dark Souls, and some Mega Mans are meant for people who will do anything to win a game. And like, I believe this is a perfect example. In Mega Man 2, you literally need to use like a pausing glitch to even beat the final boss. I know, it's insane. Yoshi's Woolly World is supposed to be a chill out and relax kind of feel. By the way, props to Nintendo. 3 of their 4 games made it onto this list this year. And last time, in 2016, I believe Nintendo had 1 or 2 games, and neither of them made it onto the best or worst list. I don't believe. But anyways, although I can practically guarantee that Nintendo is going to make with Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, like, and Splatoon 2, I can almost guarantee that Nintendo is gonna definitely make a roaring comeback in 2017, and probably leave a lot of competitors in the dust. Although in 2015 it went to PS4, and you're gonna see why when we get near the end of this list, assuming we have time, which we almost definitely will. Anyways, Yoshi's Woolly World is an overall fun experience with polished controls, be it a couple bugs. It is still smooth and feels polished. The transitions are lengthy, but the game has a great deal of content, which gradually gets harder. The story is cute and innocent, as is pretty much everything in the game. Nintendo marketed this game for a certain audience and delivered it in full. Yoshi's Woolly World is a great gift, a great game, and a great experience. Number 9, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. I don't know why I like this genre of game so much, this kind of Fallout, Dark Souls thing. But the fact of the matter is the people who made Witcher 3 had 3 years to make this game, and they spent them well. The story is fascinating, as are the characters. And real quick, I'd like to pause before I move on with this. Some people, you non-hardcore gamers, will probably think that, well, 3 years, that's a lot of time. They had 15 years to make Moto Racer 4. That game was horrible. The game was terrible. Moto Racer 4 was terrible. They had 15 years to make Moto Racer 4. So 3 years in comparison to that is not too much. Be it not the most realistic plot, the more I looked into it, the more interested I was in it. I don't know why I keep saying be it. Be it you're not playing as the most morally sound person of all time, you still feel like you want to carry forth, to move on through the game and see it through and through. Another great thing about Witcher 3 is it's a game where story and gameplay are well mixed. On one hand, the story is amazing, and it's the main thing in the game. But there are still other things in the game you can do, like side quests. You want to blaze through the game as quickly as possible? Go ahead. You want to take your time with it? The game's 20% bigger than Skyrim. And to those of you who don't know, Skyrim's massive. You can get, I believe Skyrim is to finish the game, like to do almost every major quest and side quest. It's like 110 to 120 hour experience. So like this game's nearly 150 hours long, if you round off. Yeah, 140 to 158 hours long, roughly. And this game is tough. Not quite as tough as opening a jar of pickles with one hand, but it's pretty high up there. If you don't have a problem with rated M games, you're gonna have a blast with Witcher 3. Number 8, Call of Duty Black Ops 3. This is going to be by far my most hated decision, but hear me out. There's a simple reason I like COD, Black Ops 3, a good bit. And that reason is just the fact that it's pretty fun. Blowing off zombie faces in the 2060s with all kinds of cool weapons. Now, I'm not saying it's Black Ops 2, which is arguably the best COD ever. But this game is fun. I can't even tell you what it is. The story's okay. The characters and graphics are okay. But it's pretty much like Doom. Pure enjoyment. This isn't a game like Battlefield 1, which I could play all day. But if you want a simple FPS, Black Ops 3 is a good choice for you. I don't know why I'm sounding so defensive here. I sound defensive in my writing, and I sound defensive while I'm talking about this. And yeah, we're definitely going to be finishing early. I mean, I'm sure we're going to make it into segment 4, but we're going to be finishing sometime 3:50-something. Roughly 3:55 after all intros, so I'm sure y'all will live. Number 7, Super Mario Maker. In 1985, Super Mario Bros. Was released. I can't English. What is wrong with me? Sorry, I was wiping my nose. I have allergies, and yes, to those of you already commenting this, I know your pain. I know your pain. Number 7, Super Mario Maker. In 1985, Super Mario Bros. Was released. Yes, the Super Mario Bros. The one to start it all. 30 years later, sorry, I misspelled it, but I'm saying it. 30 years later, instead of people making hacks, Nintendo decided, you make the games. So they came up with a super usable level making system, which I just love. I feel like playing this game, just talking about it, which I did, by the way, right after I finished writing. I went and played some Mario Maker. A little bit of that dash dancing. Although Mario's wall jump isn't as good in this game. That's a little Smash 4 joke. You can switch between different nostalgic game modes, which can give different options for gameplay. Now, a majority of levels that people post are terrible, but there are so many cool ways to find good levels. You can follow creators you know are good, look up courses, make your own, and so on. Nintendo even has their own courses. Now, this game has one big flaw, the level interface. It is so hard to look up levels because you need to punch in a 3-mile-long code to find the stupid thing. But otherwise, this game's pretty much perfect. One thing I'd like to comment on real quick before I move on to my top 6. I'm not sure if I talked about this on the Ben Moskalensky show, although I know I talked about him on my Instagram streams several times. So if you want to see more of me doing streams, but of a very different kind, make sure you go follow me on Instagram. Sorry, I lose my voice here. That Ben_Moskalensky. That's my tag or account name, whatever you want to call it, on Instagram. Ben_Moskalensky. Man, I am hot in here. So I know that sounded random, but I am like sweating. This is super hot in here. The window's closed to avoid annoying neighbors, but man, it is hot in here. But I'm actually thinking about, since we're on the subject of video games anyway, and I'm sure we're gonna have time, I'm actually thinking about going to my Smash 4 bi-weekly in Seattle, like the biggest one in Seattle. I'm not sure if it's the biggest one in state. I'm gonna do a bit of research, but I'm thinking about going to the one on the 27th. So if you guys have any tips for me, please let me know. I'm actually going to probably call them and give them some questions I have. But yeah, I'm super excited. I'm going to invite a ton of friends, even some family. I'm going to be on Twitch. I'm probably going to talk about it once everything's finalized. So yeah, I'm very excited for that. Number 6, Splatoon. Splatoon is Nintendo's best game of the year. I have so many great things to say about this game, and we're not even in top 5 yet, though very close. But seriously, Nintendo knocked it out of the park with this one. Instead of having intense graphics and gameplay and following the same cookie-cutter formula, you get to go around as little squid people and use paint guns. It's an overall much lighter feeling, and there are so many cool things you can do on it. You can get clothes, which improve stats, customize yourself in other ways, get weapons, train, play 1v1, go online in a bunch of different group modes, play a solo mode with a story, and more. It's just a super fun game. Heck, even the loading minigame is fun. Well, relatively. The only thing that's not fun is sitting through daily announcements. But once that's over, the world's yours. And I'm not like Nintendo advertising here in these low mid sections. I really do mean it. I love Splatoon and Mario Maker. Probably gonna go play some Splatoon actually after this. We're gonna or some Smash, get some more practice with my DLC. And I'm actually gonna have some Smash 4 segments coming up here soon, probably for I don't know a while. It's gonna be like my bi-weekly thing. Not well, my bi-weekly and my bi-weekly, ironically enough. My bi-weekly attorney I'm going to, and bi-weekly how I like to recycle segments, but typically not in a row unless it's very general steals like my books or news. I think those are the only two. Actually, no, those weird. I mean, with the exception of so it's free for all, my book stuff. Yeah, free for all, my book stuff, movies. Yeah, free for all my book stuff, movies, and those things I do, like those like kind of participation things, like my own stuff and viewers where I read funny stories. Those are the only ones I ever recycle 2 weeks in a row rather than pause. Anyways, we're now going to be moving on to my top 5 of 2015, and as my throat gives out due to water deprivation, we're gonna get right into it. Number 5, Until Dawn. Until Dawn is fascinating. Really everything about it. The gameplay and graphics are about average. That is for company standards. But I believe it was originally an indie game, which makes them outstanding. The thing about this game that floors me is its inhuman humanity. The game has some of the most interesting vantage points imaginable, and is by far one of the weirdest and best RPGs of all time. It's a horror game, don't get me wrong, and I have many problems with the horror genre in both movies and gaming. And I'll get to that some other time. But this game relies entirely on the butterfly effect. One small event can lead to another, slightly larger one, and so on. Kill a moth, 500 years, an asteroid plummets into Earth because of that dead moth. Not to mention how well this game shows human characteristics. So many games point their characters out to be one-sided and completely static. There are good people and bad ones in this game, some overwhelmingly so. But this game really shows what most people have. Shows that most people have good and bad. It's fascinating. It's a fascinating look into human psychology while being a thrill at the same time. All right. So quick little props to the developers of Until Dawn, since again I believe it's an indie game, unlike this next game, which is a big corporate game. and a game infamously known for the fact that it's typically played on PS4. Number 4, Fallout 4. Everyone knew this game would be somewhere on the list. Kind of like everyone knew that I'd love Overwatch. I mean, no shocker that it'd be on this list. Now, Fallout 4 is not without its flaws. This I could tell you. On console, and easier on PC, it can crash constantly. It has tons of glitches, and the story is not quite as cool as some of the all other Fallouts, like 3 or New Vegas. But it's still really cool. One of the best things about Fallout was how free it felt. Like Witcher 3, it's very open world. You can cut past everything and focus on the main plot, or you can grind the hell out of everything and become super awesome. The amount of stuff in this game is unreal. The amount of stuff this game offers is unreal. Every character has something about them. Every fight seems engaging. And yes, they brought back VATS. You get to be what you want in Fallout 4, and that's what makes it so interesting. And so many games have like free world mechanics like No Man's Sky that are actually even more free world than pretty much any other game out there, with the exception of like a couple like Minecraft, which are infinitely free world. But they just feel completely empty. There's a difference between free world and empty. And I feel like sometimes a game wants you to feel empty. And No Man's Sky didn't want you to feel empty. Fallout 4 does, but it doesn't do it to the point where it feels ruined. So that's why I put Fallout 4 on this. They got what they wanted, people got what they wanted, and that's why Fallout 4 is good. Number 3, Rocket League. I used to play the hell out of this game, and I still like to from time to time when I can. I loved and love Rocket League. I mean, what's there not to love? It's soccer with cars. I can't write much about this game since that's really what it is. It's high-tech cars online with practically no lag, which floors me. And you can knock the ball into the goal with teammates against others. And by the way, what I said about lag is true. I mean, it's honestly crazy. I've played hundreds, maybe even thousands of Rocket League games. It's not tens of thousands, but it's probably in the thousands by now, Rocket League games. But at least hundreds. I gotta stop saying it. And I've never had a game with even the slightest amount of lag. It's always the connection is super smooth. Now, Smash 4. You play 10 games online, I guarantee you, at least 2 of them will have that Kmart Wi-Fi. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. There we go. Which floors me you can against others. There are so many amazing things you can do in Rocket League. Team combos, flying hits, acceleration, baits, and more. The gameplay is just awesome. Everything feels so smooth and fluid. Fluid. No terribly long menus, no horrible load times, just a great experience. I cannot recommend Rocket League enough to anybody who is looking for a new kind of sport game. Number 2, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. Well, playing this game is the opposite of pain, but I'm about to go into that. And it's kind of an interesting choice, but hey, I thought it was a very good game. People knew it was going to be high because Metal Gear Solid 5 was fantastic, but people didn't think I'd put it this high on my list. But I did. People thought it would be top 3, top 5 at least, but people thought like this was the absolute highest it would go. And most people were thinking it would be either number 3 or number 4, but here you go. Number 2, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. All right, now all the kitty crap's out of the way. Let's talk about the new stuff. I don't know why I said new stuff. I should have said cool stuff since all these games are in 2015. Metal Gear Solid is an iconic franchise in every way. It was really the first game to kind of mix in the whole movie aspect. Hold up. Which other Metal Gear Solids have since expanded on? It's meant to be an awesome spy game, but here's the thing about Metal Gear Solid 5. Story sucked. Didn't like it, not one bit. I think most people would agree. But for once, that doesn't matter because of the gameplay. Sorry, I kind of phrased that weirdly. Sorry, I keep correcting myself. What I mean was like the gameplay, like this, the bad story does not interfere with the gameplay. The gameplay just makes the game really worthwhile. This is one of the reasons, the main reason actually, I like Fallout 4 so much. It's so free. You can do whatever you want in this game. Want to pretend to be? Sorry, when I say this game, I'm talking about Metal Gear Solid 5. Wait. You can do whatever you want in this game. Want to pretend to be a lady? Done. Want to use your arm as a bullet for a sniper rifle? Done. Want to sneak around places in a cardboard box or send people flying with balloons? Done. 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 And done. It's an overall thrilling experience, which I personally loved. But even a game as great as this does not stand up to my next choice. My final choice, the finale. Number 1, Bloodborne. Quote, you have the whole night to dream. Make the best of it. Unquote. I describe Bloodborne as more of a nightmare rather than a dream. But heck, they made the best of it. The people who made Bloodborne are so artistically creative. This gothic style of art has really been making a comeback in recent years, and Bloodborne does it the best. It has an artistic masterpiece of black, brown, grays, and many reds. The voice acting is outstanding. Not to mention every character is something unique. The hunter, the hunters, the bosses, even the little girl. They're all just so unique and interesting. The story of Bloodborne is entrapping and fascinating. It leaves you with so many questions, yet so many answers. Not to mention how hard it is. With Dark Souls 3, when you beat the game, which I kind of semi-did, you feel like you glitched your way past glitches to an extent. In Bloodborne, it feels like an earned win. Every boss, every every boss, mini-boss, fight, everything feels so well done. There is no training. Oh yeah, this is no training session in Overwatch. This is meant for the elite of the elite, the 0.1% of the top 1%. The first thing you do in the game is fight off a huge werewolf barehanded. This is one of the reasons I prefer the old Punch-Outs over the new one, or Melee over Brawl. Difficulty. So many games have such good ideas, but they tone it down so people don't rage and leave bad reviews. It's a genuine concern, but not all the new Punch-Outs are so easy in comparison. Now all the new Punch-Outs are so easy in comparison to, say, 1987 Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, which was gruelingly fun. Bloodborne brings that feeling back, but the best thing about it, how you feel. You feel like you are the hunter, a true hunter. This game is not meant for those of the light heart. You go a bit psycho while you play this game because of how beautifully it immerses you in its bloodbath. So what have we learned today? I'm going to get killed for not putting Undertale on this list. Anyways, I believe that is a good way to wrap this up. Sorry once again for all the spam calls and the occasional bleeps here and there, but overall, relatively good episode. Thank you, everybody, once again, for chiming in. Well, every legit caller, not you spam callers, but thank you all legit callers and every genuine viewer. Have a great day.